The last-minute appeal, get out of here while you still can.
Get used to it. It's here. It's going to continue throughout the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours.
It's all hands on deck for us during this storm.
You're now out of time to evacuate at this point.
We're already getting calls here in the newsroom with many people on the south side of Savannah who are already having those regrets that they did not follow that evacuation order.
This is not something to mess with, so we're telling everybody to get off the roads as soon as possible.
This is a very serious storm.
The OGEECHEE River is swelling and looks kind of like you're at the beach checking out some waves. They continue to encroach on the bank, on the boardwalk, and we have Fishtails, a restaurant right nearby that is bracing for the storm. To give you some idea of how strong the rain and winds are out here, I'm doing the surfer pose, legs spread, bracing myself. I have about ½ an inch of water in my boots. Many boaters have come out all afternoon trying to secure their boats, double tying them, making sure they can do all they can.
The next tide coming up at Tybee at 122 will be very, very high, higher than what we saw last October with the king tide.
We're right in the middle of one of those heavy bands. This may be the heaviest one so far this afternoon.
A tree has downed one of the power lines. For those who have been watching our continued coverage,
It's only just beginning too. That's the hard part to believe about all of this, is that this will be worse in the coming hours.
But I can tell you the wind is really picking up. You can't see these trees behind me. It's a little dark, but the trees are starting to whip in the wind. There is debris starting to get on the roadways.
Oh, there's a car right here too, to the left. Do you see that? I'm gonna see if these people are okay. You have to remember, emergency responders in a lot of places are not responding to calls right now because of the storms. I'm gonna get out and check on these people and send it back to you guys.
Cutter Martin is riding through downtown Savannah right now, and that right there, folks, is what you call a driving rain.
Look at that wind. I mean, it is howling, and something to remember that is particular to downtown. I mean, some of the craziest gusts we've seen so far. The car is really rocking right now.
We sent him home to get some sleep.
And he wouldn't go.
Well, no, we didn't. Yeah, apparently not.
He said, no. I got a job to do here.
Yeah.
Some new video. Now, this was shot a little earlier today at the Fishtails restaurant and Fort McAllister Marina in Richmond Hill. The OGEECHEE River there looking a little more like an ocean. We actually had a live shot a little later from there, and it looked much, much, much worse than what you're seeing in that video there.
Mayor Eddie Deloche, you've been, monitoring this storm coming by. What have you seen so far?
I've seen a great group of people doing a great job.
Actually joining me is Captain Bon Brobinch with the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. You guys have been working nonstop around the clock. What's going on behind the scenes here?
Well, Emergency Operations Center is in full effect. The storm's being closely monitored.
And Governor Nikki Haley also mentioned that as far as returning back to your area, just because the rain and the wind have died down does not mean that you are allowed back in your area.
The Tybee Island Pier, they're just taking a beating from the ocean. This was taken earlier today by our Dal Kennedy, who was riding along with the sheriff's office.
Take a look here. Tree roots ripped right out of the ground.
As you approach Dean Forest, right there in that marsh, at least 3 to 4 trees down, an open area. Obviously, wind's very strong. Visibility is low. Conditions are only getting worse over the past 45 minutes that we've been out here driving.
I am in it. Like you said, Jamie, you talked about heavy downpour. The rain is definitely coming down. The water is definitely piling up and flooding down there. Tree branches and different things all on the ground.
This home right here on Toomer Street is completely covered with water. It's underwater. You can see the front porch, the ramp there, underwater. This home, it sort of sits in a ditch, so as the rain continues to pour, the water's just gonna flow down into the yard. But guess what? It's not just this home. It's the entire block. You can see water covered here on Toomer Street.
You guys were talking about those evacuations, and a big reason for that was because power was expected to go out, and that's exactly what's happened here on Chatham Parkway. This gas station, many businesses up and down Chatham Parkway without power.
You can see the trees down, blocking the on-ramp.
Hurricane Matthew is for real. It's a real problem. We're being real careful and keeping you safe.
We've got Matthew is parallel with us right about this time, so we are getting heavy winds here. The rain still coming down.
If we can take a look at some video from earlier, you can see some of those streets. You can see the conditions where those streets are closed down. Some of them downtown, and some of them the busiest spots in town, like US 17.
That wind just whipping with that water right here on Waters Avenue, and the conditions are just seeming to get worse and worse. I'm glad that I've not seen any cars on the road. Recently, I saw a fire truck, and that's about it.
Breaking news off of I-95 right now. SCDOT telling us at this point that between Ridgeland and Hardeeville, that the interstate is impassable in both directions.
I'm feeling elated because the center of the storm right there, 40 miles off the coastline. It's not 15 miles off the coastline. I want to cry right now. That is so exciting. It's just so relieving, and we're out of the cone of uncertainty.
We're not out of the woods yet.
We certainly are.
The bright red core that you can see here in the middle, the northwest quadrant of the storm down to the west side of the storm, that's where the gustiest winds, the heaviest rains, the most squally weather is located, and it's just right offshore. It's just right here. Oh my goodness, look at that. I hope you are safe tonight. Continue to hunker down. We've got many more hours of this to go, and Jamie and I will be here to keep you updated online on WTOC.com, on the free and easy to use WTOC weather app, and of course on the Big Red 11, WTOC.
Governor Haley said we could expect the impact of Hurricane Matthew between midnight and 1 a.m. And unfortunately for us, it's supposed to happen during high tide.
Well, guys, in the last hour, we just found out that Savannah Fire is suspending all operations. In fact, they tweeted, and so did SEMA tweeted out, that all operations are suspended tonight.
We're downtown. You can really see that wind whipping up off the Savannah River right now. That's City Hall, and you can see the trees, these oak trees really just going back and forth in this wind. You can see some of that, the rain blowing sideways.
There was one car where there was a guy who was still inside. I asked him how he was doing. He said he felt nauseated. We were able to take him right here to the Sleep Inn, and the guy inside, I asked him were there any vacancies. He told me he had one vacancy. So we were able to help the elderly man get into a room there. And so he said he was able to talk to some of his daughters who were also stuck in Jacksonville. So good news here.
Tasia Reid is not an emergency responder and is not going to be out there driving around looking for people on the side of the road who should not have been out there driving on the interstate between Jacksonville and Pittsburgh in the first place in the middle of a hurricane. But we're glad that gentleman is okay.
I'm looking at a tree that's actually been snapped in half. There's also a down power line also in front of a home.
We are definitely going through it. Like John said, strong rains, heavy rains, lots of strong wind gusts going through here.
95 is not a place that anyone wants to go until they get that all cleared up. And I'm going to continue tracking the roadways.
Over here we got a fellow who's actually riding it out in his shrimp boat. Him and his two dogs. He said he had no other place to go, so he's hanging out here tonight.
It's the waiting game right now. Everyone is kind of at a standstill, waiting to see exactly where Matthew's going to go.
I'm here on Tibet Avenue. This is off Middle Ground Road in Savannah. A tree down in a yard. Thankfully, it's not blocking off any roadways right now.
Second highest tide on record of records kept back to 1890.
We have some really gusty winds. Yana was talking earlier about she had some gusty winds that she drove through. It's this particular rain band that's been pinwheeling past Sandfly, past the Truman Expressway.
We're not leaving you. We're going to be with you until the storm is out of our viewing area. So you're not alone. We'll ride it out together.
We are. And are you seeing what I'm seeing now?
I am seeing what you see.
See the reflection off the water now on the walkways there in front of the ballroom there is without power tonight. In fact, that started about 6 o'clock. I think that first large batch of about 1,200 homes went into the dark.
The wind and rain is definitely picking up here on River Street. You can see that the parking lots, they look like swimming pools. Water's also making its way up to this restaurant's door. Can you imagine if people were out here right now? Definitely not something anyone wants to go through. But again, we're going to continue to monitor these conditions.
Jarvis, that was incredible footage there of River Street.
A very scary situation. We were driving northbound on Paulson. This just happened about 2 minutes ago. A tree came down right in front of our vehicle. We had to stop. We turned around. It was a pretty scary situation.
But we moved a little bit further down River Street. Right now we're under the Homewood Suites Hotel. As of right now, I'm not seeing much flooding in this area, but you can see behind me the winds have definitely picked up since I talked to you guys the last time.
Here we are in the zone right now for Chatham and Savannah. If anybody thinks that it's okay to go out on the roadways at this point, it's not. Nobody's coming to help you.
The National Guard remains in Savannah. You saw them earlier patrolling neighborhoods in Humvees. We posted some of those photos, so they are still here. They also tell us that despite rumors, Southside Fire is not yet responding to calls. And as far as the curfew goes, they tell us there's been no issues.
People who evacuated who were like, when are we going to be able to come home? And as you mentioned, nobody knows because we don't know what the light of day is going to bring us or the full extent of the damage until the professionals get out there in all those neighborhoods.
I mean, I know a lot of people want to check on their places, and of course they evacuated. They were smart. They got out, so they're not dealing with any, of the imminent dangers that are here right now.
The record was broken at 12.51 feet. The tide started to recede, and I was going to report that yay, we're seeing the tide recede, but now we're seeing it go back up to 12.56. So we've totally blown past David. David was 12.21 feet.
And we're getting a look at the damage done by Hurricane Matthew. Just come over here. We got Patrick, our producer, helping us out right now.
We see a car has actually run off the road. This is I-95 in South Carolina in Jasper County. This is a close-up of that car we told you all about earlier where Tasia Reed and Alex were out and actually saw where there was an elderly man in one of these cars and he was having some difficulty. And they were able to run up on him and help him find some shelter at one of the hotels in Jasper County. But that's a really bad wreck out there. And as we know, we've been warned, first responders are not out there now because it's not safe for them to be out there. So when you leave under these conditions, you're really taking your life in your own hands.
Yeah, you really are. And that was quite the scene out there.
96-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Well, that's just really scary.
That's what creates that rain that feels like rocks hitting you or pebbles hitting you.
Yeah,
when
Emily
you're
said that
standing
earlier.
outside.
She's like, it feels like pebbles on my face.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that when you're feared with that, yes.
This is important here.
Still 105.
Yeah.
Northeast
Okay.
at 12. Pressure is up 1 millibar. 20 miles south of Hilton Head Island. That's the 5 o'clock
So when you say northeast at 12, we're getting that curve.
It's trying
It's
to
starting
curve.
to curve.
Okay.
It's trying to do the curve.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Good information coming in. And, this has really been a real team effort for us all day here at WTOC. I mean, we even got the sports guy in on it.
We do.
We couldn't stop Ken from going out and covering news today.
I couldn't wait to see this happen one day, although I was hoping it wouldn't be something like this that would bring you out. But Ken, you have spent some time around town. Talk to me about what you've discovered. I think Richmond Hill was one of the locations you were at.
Yeah, we had a little information come in from the Richmond Hill Police Department as well. They have got standing water. It's really treacherous trying to get around Richmond Hill right now. The Piercefield area, the Harris Trail area. My day started out on 144. We had a downed tree over a power line, so I was out there shooting that. So Richmond Hill's been hit pretty hard with this thing. As for right here, I heard John say earlier in his most recent cast that he didn't hear any winds. Well, John, I want to tell you, I want you to come on back to the back door back here. It's really hard for us to show you just how much these trees are bending because we're on generator here. We're on standby mode, so we've got a lot of our lights turned off back here. So, and you've also heard the cliche howling winds. Well, it's no cliche tonight. These winds are howling back here. I don't know if I've ever heard howling winds until I stepped back here tonight. And these trees are really getting pushed around. It's really, really dangerous out there as well. So, if y'all get any kind of break, I want you to come back here and see what's going on back here because it's really bad out here tonight. Don't let anybody tell you this wasn't a major storm because we set new records. We set a new tide record. We've set all kind of records that just keep up with Jamie and John. They'll let you know all about it. But this is quite a storm. And as David has pointed out plenty tonight, that you learn something new with every hurricane. It's like you've been through a few, but smartly on his part, you do learn something every time. And what did I learn? I learned what howling winds sounded like.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will say, Ken, I made that comment because I hear from people who think they're really smart all the time saying, oh, I've been through one of these. Don't worry about it. Stay home. This is nothing. I've been through this one and I've been through that one. Listen, folks, there is no such thing as having been through every hurricane.
No.
Because, again, they're all different, and each poses a unique set of threats to each and every one of us. Ken, thank you so much for that reporting out there.
WTOC chief photographer Jonathan Godwin captured some winds. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. City Hall, rain, wind, sun squall going through. And we look at the outages, and Chatham County just jumped to 135,000. We're 6,000 away from the entire county losing power, the entire grid being out here. So this is going to be a big deal.
So we're not done just yet. In fact, look at how I'm going to stop this hour by hour, this point from here on out.
You can see there is a tree blocking the road here. It's not completely obstructed, but this is something we're dealing with. And just down the road, we actually had one tree taking down some power lines.
Here's what Matthew looks like now. And I said this last hour. This is the same picture. I've not changed it.
We're going to go live now back outside on Highway 17, our Marlo Rooker.
Look at this water and how deep it's getting. You can see this, and this is the lane, these lanes leading up to Victory Drive. You can see pretty much a foot of water is the case here with my pink rain boots on. We have already seen 2 people attempting to drive, coming up on it really fast, and then just getting into the water and having to turn around. And we don't want people doing that. That is very dangerous. And the wind is definitely picking up here, so we'll have more updates for you throughout the morning.
Why do we get evacuated from these areas? It's because of stuff like this. There is no way that folks can get through some of these areas. 16 is nearly impassable, both eastbound and westbound. It is not safe for folks to drive on there. There are so many trees blocking the roadway. On 516, Alex was driving on it earlier. He said there's a huge 516 traffic sign that is completely just flattened on the ground.
The storm itself, in the open eye, the ragged eye of the storm, which is, of course, the center of the storm, continuing to parallel the South Carolina coast.
There were 3 structure fires in the northern part of the county near Burton. Now, again, emergency personnel were not able to respond to them. They just know of them. Basically, what they did was when the storm got to be really bad, when we got to that point where it was unsafe for even them to be out there, they actually brought them all in, and they're currently inside now. Stepping outside, we can see tree limbs coming down. I think we had a tree come down right outside of us, maybe on one of our cars. We're not really sure yet because it is still very dark outside.
We're live in Liberty City right now, and we're starting to see a very bad situation. Someone has gotten stranded, and you can see another person walking up to try to help them. The wind is picking up here. So we did have police come through here multiple times, and they have since left because it's the case that they can't necessarily help this person. I think they have more pressing matters at this point.
Marla and I aren't that far away from each other, and I want you to take a look at this. A huge tree down on OGEECHEE southbound. And if you see this officer here, it's not because he's stopping traffic, it's because he hit this tree, went over it, and is now stuck there on the other side. He has a lot of damage to his vehicle. This threat of trees falling isn't over. Even as we're driving around, kind of checking out your roadways, there are trees falling. There are branches being blown into the roadway. Just a few moments before we went live, there was a huge gust of wind, and it makes you think, you know, what other branches can come down while you're driving? This Savannah Chatham Metro police officer is out here surveying the roads, and he said by the time he hit it, it was too late. He couldn't even see the tree because it was so dark. It's rainy, it's windy.
We are so happy to see that the sun is beginning to come up here in the city of Savannah, and this is a live look from our Riverfront Skycam, taking a look at River Street, the Savannah River, and look how swollen the Savannah River is right now.
And keep in mind, as Jamie and John have been talking all morning long about that storm surge and the time it's going to take for that surge to go down, we are now 7 minutes, 8 minutes away from the next low tide.
Wow.
And look at the swollen Savannah River. What I am taking great pleasure in seeing is what appears to be a calm after this storm.
Driving conditions in Savannah right now aren't the most ideal. Take a look at this tree behind me that fell at the on-ramp to I-16 headed towards Macon. You're going to see a lot of trees, a lot of debris later through the morning once you start driving, especially in the downtown area.
Just because this storm appears to have passed us for the most part, This does not mean that it is time to come home. It is definitely not time to come home and may not be for several days.
I want to remind you, too, that there is a process in place called a re-entry process for almost every county. The general public is not going to be allowed in right away or at first light when it's safe. First responders are going to be out in our communities making sure that everything is safe.
But as of right now, again, there's the storm, and we can see a lot of the circulation around the system.
There's two things that are going to impact you today. Obviously, the actual forecast, the actual weather conditions that are occurring. And then there's a story of what has already occurred. Remember, we're dealing with a lot of damage across the area. You have seen many images across not just Chatham County, not just the city of Savannah, but the coastal empire and the South Carolina Low Country.
Apparently, this woman, she works for Savannah Chatham Metro Police. She had an 12-hour shift and ended up really just wanting to go home. And here we are now to where she attempted to drive through this water. She was scared to get out at first because there was a man that was walking by in waist-deep water right there. It gets much deeper even past her vehicle. And she was scared to get out, but she did get out after another woman came to help her in all of this. And of course, police now responding to this situation. They're trying to get to people downtown, they tell me. I was able to speak with officers with Metro, and they say they're just trying to get to the downtown area.
What a beautiful sight to see those crews already out there trying to clear things up, Jarvis.
Hey guys, I'm here at 204 on Georgetown where a tree fell and blocked the road. As you can see behind me, several people here. We got first responders, we got officers, people that work in the area, chopping down the tree, clearing it, making room so people could drive by. You can see several officers. I see someone who works at Waffle House also. Here's a lady right here in her yellow rain jacket. The community is coming together to take care of each other. It looks like they've cleared most of it out. Hey, how's it going today, sir? Let me ask you this. We're live right now. What made you come out and help?
No, we were coming out checking on stores for Waffle House, and he had a chainsaw, so we went ahead and got permission, started cutting down the trees.
Great. No, thank you all so much. He was coming to work, check on stores, and they went ahead and grabbed a chainsaw. I want to show you this tree right here also. There's another tree that's still hanging over even onto the eastbound side, and they're about to start working on that tree right now, guys. You know, Hurricane Matthew, it caused so much destruction in our area, but these people, they aren't scared to get in, get their hands dirty, roll up their sleeves, and make everything happen. We're gonna stay out here. We're gonna talk to some more people. For now, we're gonna send it back to you guys. We're live in Savannah. I'm Jarvis Robertson, WTOC News.
Look at how high that wind still is out there with them wrestling with that tree. We're trying to get that information to you every possible way we can. Of course, if you're on social media, we have a team that's been working all day and all night with all the latest information, pictures, video, you name it.
Yeah, and you've seen it. If you've been on the website, you've seen it and you know that.
How many people did we see, at least, you know, for the citywide, that actually got out and evacuated? Are the most of them still here? Did a lot of them get out?
A lot are here. A lot are here. I think midday yesterday, I would say that probably close to half the people in the city said they weren't going. They just didn't believe it would happen. This one didn't take the turn. We got the hit, and we got hit and hit hard.
The center of Matthew is still right along the coastal areas of Charleston, and they're going to see some very strong winds right along the coast there. But the good news is it's pulling away from our area.
Good morning, everybody, and we are obviously in very unusual circumstances waking up this morning. For some of you, finding out that you have trees down, branches down, and if you're walking outside, best bet, probably want to stay inside for a little while longer. The wind's still very strong, as you heard Dave
this morning, and I don't know how much you watched this overnight and this morning because our power was out.
Yeah.
At 8 p.m., my power went out.
Thousands of you without power. We are all in this same boat. So we want to just give you guys a quick reminder that we are here for you not only on air, if you are able to watch us, but on digital as well. Cutter Martin just finished doing a Facebook Live. He's still doing it actually right now. So if you have any questions about your specific area, what the forecast is going to be, when this is all going to be said and done, go right now to our main WTOC Facebook page. Leave him a comment. He'll try to respond to you.
As you can see behind me, a power pole has fallen and also power lines are now blocking off the street. Obviously, it's fallen due to the strong winds of Hurricane Matthew. And also, since we've been out here, we've seen several cars almost run across those power lines. The winds are still strong right now, and that sign is hanging, and that could be dangerous if it was to fall. Again, we're going to stay out here throughout the morning, continue to find you all the damage and bring you all the latest. For now, we're live here in Chatham County. I'm Jarvis Robertson, WTOC News.
And obviously, if you've been following our wall-to-wall team coverage of Hurricane Matthew, we've had teams all over South Carolina and Georgia, all over Savannah and the Coastal Empire, Dale Kennedy down in Brunswick, Lynn County. So we've had everything covered for you.
That's right. Our Raycom reporter Ashley Holland is live at the South Carolina Emergency Operations Center, which has kind of been the brains of everything, all of those rescue efforts. And we're going to check in now with her. Ashley, how's it going out there?
That's right. Well, I'm actually here in the briefing room where Governor Haley is set to speak in another news conference on the latest updates on the state's response to the storm at 10 o'clock. But overnight, emergency crews were checking in with each county's emergency operations centers across the state.
Elizabeth Rollins is live at Drayton and Anderson Streets right now in Savannah to show us a little bit more about why you should not be outside. Elizabeth.
Yeah, guys, it is really dangerous to be driving at this point. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of obstacles that you're going to run into right now. Just an example right here, you see there's a billboard that just was blown off of its frame last night. Then next to that, you've got several trees lining the road. We're at Drayton and Anderson Street, and these trees are blocking Anderson. And then next to that, you've got a live wire. So as you can see, a lot of obstacles that you're running into at this point. Several emergency vehicles just came rushing past us just moments ago, hardly paying any attention to this. I mean, they were aware, but they have other things to do. So clearly, things like this are not at the top of their priority right now.
And this is kind of the destruction that came with that storm.
And this is why we say be patient, because look, this is dangerous. Having those guys out there working on this, you got to have your patience to get the power back on.
And I just got another message, probably the 150th message, asking when can I come home? And this is why you can't come home.
2 trees have fallen, and it almost barricading these people in their homes. Now, the first one is further down that end, not too far across the street from these apartments. Luckily, we were able to drive through the apartment complex and come in and come to this location. Now, that second tree is just right down this road. You can see here where the gentleman is walking back towards. 2 trees all in this neighborhood. Also, one more thing I want to show you guys, there's running water flowing across the street. You can see it's flowing here from this swamp area, and you can see the water around my foot, almost up to my ankles. Definitely moving swift across the street into this wooded area. Also, when we drove into that apartment complex to get to this location, one of the buildings, the siding was completely gone. You could see the wood that was used to build the apartment complex. Again, the winds are picking up out here in this area. The rain is starting to come back.
There's a lot of tree debris. If you're looking at the traffic tracker right now, you can see that tree debris in the roadway. You can see some pooling of water still in these areas. There are trees down on power lines. There are still downed power lines that are live.
I'm going to send it now to our Marla Rooker. Marla, pretty much underwater.
Yes, it is, and we just saw someone walk all the way from the homeless camp that we know is underneath the Truman through this water. It was very, very deep past the waist, and there is someone's car that's down here. Let me show you. They're actually bundling her up right now, as you can see. Let me show you. And they're just trying to help her, this photographer here. He's with AP. He actually freelances with Associated Press. And these guys were trying to figure out what was going on. Now, let me show you the car, if I can. You see the cars right there. The woman told us there's no one inside of that car right now, but as you can see, this is not passable. We were trying to make it out to the islands, and we're not able to do that right now at this time.
Elizabeth, you were at Waters and Duffy, Drayton and Anderson. Where are you now?
We're actually at Forsyth Park on the Drayton Street side. It's almost unrecognizable out here. Look at this. This is the parking lot next to the cafe. You couldn't even drive in here if you wanted to. It looks like a pond right there. Then moving over here, you can see there's a major tree that's fallen in the middle of the park. Some folks there taking a look at that damage. And then if we pan over just a little bit more, you can barely see the sidewalk. You can see where the lampposts line the sidewalk, but it's it's just covered in debris at this point. Metro Police were out here just moments ago. You can see some folks that are helping out there trying to remove some of this debris.
I'm here on the Kings Ferry dock along the OGEECHEE River, and as you can see behind me, the river is swollen. Of course, with Hurricane Matthew coming through our area, it causes so many issues, like rivers like this to be swollen. Also, the road that we came in on, you can also see the river starting to spill over into the road, which is over near Love's Seafood Restaurant. As of right now, that is the only major, or maybe I should say minor thing. We saw a little of the river spilling over into the road.
Macy, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Don, Claria, I want to show you guys something really here in Beaufort that really tells the story of Hurricane Matthew and what it did to the city. I mean, check this out. This tree completely uprooted. Look at how deep those roots are running, just ripped right out of the ground. And here is the problem. The problem is that this tree is taking down these power lines. I mean, it's right on top of it, pulling these power lines down.
What did we actually experience throughout the nighttime hours?
Well, I think this kind of sets the picture here. As incredible as it was, as amazing and unfortunately destructive as it was, only 60, 70 mile per hour gusts in the city of Savannah. Obviously, that's tropical storm force, not even minimal Category 1 hurricane. Tybee Island, a little bit of a different story. Gust 95 to 96 there. So obviously, winds were intense last night. So many folks want to know what happened in their backyard. When can I come home? We don't know, but likely winds like that have downed many, many trees, especially across the low country.
Can we put this in comparison to Tropical Storm Hermine? How fast were those winds going? Just, so people can kind of compare and contrast.
Yeah, Hermine winds, I think we saw the peak was about 57 miles per hour, roughly. So this was comparable for a lot of the inland areas for some of that wind, but certainly much higher than that along the coast.
Yesterday we showed you pictures and video of the flooding here at Marshside. Lots of folks here in Brunswick know this area. Yesterday you could see the waves coming up, the white caps in this parking lot. That SUV back behind me was submerged over there, but take a look, you see the debris of what came up, and this is how high it got coming out of the marsh from way back there. Well, now the tide is back out, and you can see it is drained down. That is helping a little bit in this area, but take a look behind me. That platform is taken down. You can see some of the other damage around here, but that's as high as it got right here.
Here's a look at some new photos. We just got into our newsroom from WTOC photojournalist Evan Griffith. You can see the road leading to the Chatham County Sheriff's Office there completely flooded out, and that is causing some issues, but nobody's actually going to the jail right now anyway, so there's no access here right now until this water recedes.
Look at this. It is unbelievable water, and we saw folks trying to get through it. Please do not go through it. We are not going through it. It is not safe to go through water. First off, you don't know if your car could get swept away back into that water. Also, you don't know what's in the water. You don't know if there's a down power line in this area. So please don't go through this area.
You can see this is flooding over US 17 in Brunswick. Unbelievable. Look at this. This is why we are telling you guys to please stay at home, stay off the roads, and stay safe, because nobody should be driving in this. This is extremely dangerous, because if you get stuck, you might not have anyone that can come out and help you get out.
You don't know how deep it is. You don't know if there are live power wires somewhere nearby. Really, the best idea is stay off the roads altogether. Stay home. Watch us.
It's a great day to be from Savannah. We got a lot of work to do. We're going to get a lot done in a short period of time.
All right, well, let me conclude by simply thanking all of you in the media. I've thanked a lot of folks already. I want to pay a special thank you to WTOC. And the reason I say that is, even though we have the Weather Channel, I think they have one of their main headquarters there in Atlanta, Georgia, they seem to focus their attention on Florida, on South Carolina, and North Carolina, and could almost get no information until my staff said, let's stream WTOC's broadcast. And that was extremely helpful. In fact, we streamed it inside of our GEMA operation in Atlanta. And I thank you for that coverage. It was great, and it was very helpful. As one of my staff said, we had to wait on WTOC to show us yesterday morning, early on, what happened with regard to the Savannah River. Was it out of its banks? where was it, what kind of flooding had actually taken place. So congratulations, you've done a great job.